We know for a fact there's going to be another console generation, but we don't know exactly how it's going to look. Sony and Microsoft have tried to provide different ideas for a monthly subscription service, and it seems like forever we've been talking about the Netflix of video games. But what's on the plate right now? Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, let's compare PS Now and Xbox Game Pass. Now, we're not going to go all the way back to the beginning of online games, as that's not exactly what we're talking about. Instead, let's look back to June 2010. This was when Sony launched PlayStation Plus. PlayStation Plus gave gamers cloud saving with the PlayStation Network, among a few other things, but more importantly, they gave away 6 free games every month, 2 for each of the active Sony platforms. Sony called this the PlayStation Plus Instant Game Collection. This was kind of a boon for PlayStation Network, as it made it feel as though you got something for nothing, even though you paid for a service every month. It wasn't like you were buying 6 games. And I'll be real, I didn't actually claim all of the games. Some of them weren't great, but to a lot of PlayStation gamers, including myself, it felt like a valuable service. And it felt like something PlayStation had that Xbox didn't. It also got people talking about the whole famed white whale of gaming, games on demand. Why stop with a few games? Why not actually give us a full-blown instant game library? Good question, one might ask. PlayStation Plus would not actually be answered to for 3 years, but we'll get to that in just a second. First, let's talk about Sony's acquiring of Gaikai. Gaikai was a game streaming company, a fairly competitive one among the larger names in that sector, and Sony's acquiring of that really made people think, whoa, the whole Netflix white whale thing. This was a little bit strange though, as Gaikai just basically disappeared entirely, and we didn't hear about it for a while. In 2013, Microsoft was finally like, you know what, we need to get in on this free games thing. They also announced that free-to-play games like World of Tanks, which they coincidentally also announced an Xbox 360 version of, would require Xbox Live Gold. The thing is that while both of these services were good, it's nice to get things for a smaller price than you would otherwise. It made a lot of people think, well, it would just be better if it could be, I don't want to say it again, so I'm going to try to make this the last time, but the fabled Netflix for gaming. And in 2014, Sony started to give us exactly what that might be. Using Gaikai's technology that they'd been developing for several years at that point, they started to beta test on PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4 a service called PlayStation Now. PlayStation Now was a game streaming service. And when I say that, I mean it in every sense of the word. When you play a game and broadcast it to Twitch, you're sending video of the game to Twitch, which other people can then watch. PlayStation Now was essentially the exact opposite. It sent you video footage of a game that was playing on PlayStation hardware elsewhere. That footage was being taken in real time as you sent commands to that PlayStation hardware from your PlayStation hardware. You press up, that goes through the internet, hits Sony's PlayStation server base, the game does what it's supposed to do, and you see it. Now this actually sounds horrible, on account we all know the internet isn't instant. It's pretty damn instant compared to, you know, how it used to be, but honestly when I heard that this existed, I thought it sounded bad, outright bad. But then I played it, and it shockingly enough, isn't that bad. It had more problems when it launched than it does now, and I'm not saying it's perfect now, but it was actually a pretty good idea. That being said, if your internet went down, no games. If your internet wasn't working right, you were buffering video footage of a game that you were playing in a warehouse somewhere, remotely. Depending on what's going on with your internet service, or just the internet in general, as we all know, it gets congested from time to time, or perhaps demand on Sony's servers was just a bit too much. All of these things could negatively impact how you were playing a game, and it was obvious when it happened. In theory, this service is phenomenal. In practice, it's a pretty good deal, but not phenomenal. Microsoft did not launch direct competition to this. They did not develop technology that would do the same thing, and they did not develop a product that would utilize that kind of technology. The kind of cloud technology that Microsoft built has more to do with aiding the processing power of various consoles that are out in the wild. And maybe someday we will get Crackdown 3. Who knows? But after 2 official years of PlayStation Now, Microsoft put out a service called Xbox Game Pass. It cost the same as PlayStation Now, but instead of streaming games to you via video, you could just download them and play them like any other game. This was responded to pretty well. To play a game as if you own a game, but really just you're paying for a subscription that gives you access to the game. I've said it a couple times in this video, but it's basically the holy grail for a lot of people. I'd rather download a whole bunch of data up front and not have to deal with the fact that my internet could sputter at any point and mess up my gameplay. Honestly, I like using the PlayStation on Wi-Fi. It's just easier. And PlayStation Now, I needed to have that thing plugged into the Ethernet, which meant there were limited places in my house where the PlayStation could be set up. That's one of many reasons. In my opinion, the most obvious though is performance. For it to play the game just as a game really works. After about 6 months of that, Microsoft expanded the Xbox Game Pass so that it would include all brand new releases that Microsoft Studios released. In other words, the big AAA exclusives that Microsoft drops, like Crackdown 3 again, and State of Decay 2, and again, the large number of current generation games it made available to people, as well as the backwards compatible games like Banjo-Kazooie, Fable 3, and a lot of other games. Like, there's a lot of games on Xbox Game Pass. It made Sony realize that they needed to be doing that same thing, because that was clearly the thing that customers prefer. Back on September 20th, they enabled PlayStation Now game downloading, essentially making PlayStation Now into PlayStation Game Pass. Very recently, Microsoft unveiled their remote play option, entitled Microsoft xCloud. This isn't particularly different from PS4 Remote Play, which allows you to control your PS4 from a Windows or Mac PC. xCloud also giving you the ability to do it from mobile devices. Now, if you own one of Sony's smartphones, you can do that too, but it's not very good. And again, you have to own a piece of hardware to do it, which why? I don't understand. So that's a definite advantage for Microsoft. Now, if we've learned anything from this review of the history, it's that nobody really had like the original idea. Nobody really copied each other. This is actually a list of 2 companies attempting to one-up each other with a better service. And in some ways that sounds like because they were competing, things got better. But they aren't just competing for a better product, they're also competing to do as little as they have to do to get money from the customer. There are realities in the world, such as how much things cost and what has to be done to maintain the service itself. But fortunately, it has actually landed us in a pretty favorable position. In theory, you could buy a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One, get PlayStation Now or Xbox Game Pass, and be pretty set. But currently, while PlayStation Now does have more games, a lot of those games are not backwards compatible on the PlayStation 4. PlayStation 3 games do not play on the PlayStation 4, obviously. So if you want to play them on PlayStation 4, you will have to stream them, at least now. There's a decent chance that may change in the future. They are working on new hardware, and we'll see exactly what that means. But unfortunately, that means a lot of games like the HD remasters of the God of War games, some of the frankly underrated Hitman games, Mega Man 9, Mega Man 10, the Devil May Cry HD Collection, Deus Ex Human Revolution, Dark Souls 2, Ni no Kuni, Red Dead Redemption, Saints Row 2 through 4, Sonic Adventure 2. Yeah, that's a PlayStation 3 title, not 2, which, interestingly enough, your PlayStation 2 titles are backwards compatible on the PlayStation 4, but still, it's not even that there are a massive amount of PlayStation 2 games available on the platform. There should be more, as a matter of fact. Whereas with Xbox Game Pass, everything on there you can download and play because it's compatible with it. On top of that, the games on the Xbox Game Pass are typically a lot bigger. The trade-off is that there are less of them. But, I mean, with the Game Pass, you literally have a Mega Man Legacy Collection, Mega Man Legacy Collection 2, Mass Effect, all of the Gears of War games, Doom. You will have Crackdown 3 if it ever materializes from the void. So you might have Crackdown 3, hopefully. You've got frickin' Sonic and Knuckles. There's almost nowhere you can get a copy of Sonic and Knuckles. Oh hey, did you like the Force Unleashed games? Both of them? You got them. Sunset Overdrive? definitely a great game. It's yours with the Xbox Game Pass. Frankly, both of these services are great. They are definitely worthwhile. But Microsoft is definitely like, you know what, this is probably our future. Sony definitely needs to understand that. In fact, both companies need to think about this a lot as they put out a new console. Is it going to be something that can play everything from all of their previous consoles, and are they ready to handle the demand of people with long memories, of nostalgia, of certain titles from certain eras? I really hope both companies are up to it because frankly it could give us some amazing stuff. Right now, for me, Xbox Game Pass is a little bit further ahead, but at the same time, PlayStation Now understands the value of a long-reaching back catalog of games. I'm actually fairly excited because we are now in a situation more than ever that we kind of have the Netflix for games, but at the same time it also is a little bit scary because whether or not you have a game suddenly becomes up to a company who could technically withdraw it at any time. There's certainly advantages to both, and being able to download definitely makes me feel a little safer regarding that. So let's see where we go. I am actually fairly excited for where this line of thinking takes us, and it could actually be the golden age where you play all the games forever. Or it could suck, who knows? What do you think? Leave us a comment, let us know what's on your mind. How ready for a Netflix for gaming are you? How do you think it would work? If you like this video, please click the like button. And if you want to see more of the videos we upload every single day, click subscribe and do not forget to click the notification bell. That will let you know the instant we upload new videos, and that way you will have less of a chance of missing them. As always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero, and we'll see you next time right here on gameranx.